India win hands down, skip the handshake with Pakistan, we stand with families of victims of Pahalgam, says Suryakumar Yadav. The match ended as it began, with no handshake. India captain Suryakumar Yadav slog-swept spinner Sufyan Mukim to complete an utterly one-sided, 7-wicket victory over Pakistan in Dubai at the Asia Cup on Sunday. He remained unconquered on 47 off 37 balls, before walking away, without shaking hands, with Pakistan's players or their captain. The match had begun thus, with both Yadav and his Pakistan counterpart Salman Agha taking no initiative to shake hands or even greet each other at the toss. And, driving the point home, Yadav later brought up the Pahalgam terror attack and dedicated the victory to the armed forces. We stand with the families of victims of the Pahalgam attack. We express our solidarity and we want to dedicate today's win to the armed forces, he said, speaking to the broadcaster after the win. This was the first India-Pakistan cricket match since the Pahalgam terror attack in April. India launched Operation Sindoor against terror targets in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Pakistan in May, following which both countries launching retaliatory strikes at each other for 3 days before suspension of hostilities. Sunday's match would be remembered for what did not happen, rather than what did unfold. The hands that never shook will hog the headlines, rather than the calloused hands of India's spin triumvirate that designed the victory and the composed batsmen that guided them past the total. Once India's well-drilled spinners restricted Pakistan to 127 and Abhishek Sharma reeled them off to a blistering start, the climax of the game was a foregone conclusion. The climax would fade into irrelevance. But the start would not. The ungiven handshake would be talked about in years. Yadav is learned to have made up his mind in the morning of the game. Hours before the game, he conveyed his decision to the team. He, however, told his team that it was left to individual choice, whether to shake hands with their Pakistani counterparts. The players are aware of the outrage back home. But as the Indian Cricket Board and government had agreed to play Pakistan in Dubai, they were left with no choice. The BCCI and the government had aligned to play the game, so only the game was on our mind. The decision, not to shake hands, was taken later, Yadav said at the post-match press conference. The only contact he made with a Pakistani cricketer was when Mohammad Nawaz, backtracking to take a return catch of Tilak Varma, bumped into him. In sync with the game, neither apologized. Before the toss, the players and support staff from both teams inspected the pitch almost side by side. But they barely acknowledged each other's presence, or exchanged pleasantries, as though they were blind to each other's presence. On one side of the pitch, India did their warm-ups, on the other side, Pakistan's bowlers were bowling full tilt on the practice wicket. A feverish energy wrapped the ground during the game. But there was little in terms of theatrics that would make the highlights reel of the game for ages, like the Venkatesh Prasad send-off or the Javad Mayandad monkey hop. Still, the contest seemed to bubble on the threshold of boiling point. A nudge or push away from going berserk. The usually relaxed and smiling Yadav was more somber. Hardik Pandya seemed an enraged man. The Indian fielders stretched every sinew to grasp a tough catch or thwart a boundary after Pakistan elected to bat first. The emotions were similar when Pakistan took the field, with the usually inexpressive Salman Agha urging his colleagues to fight. But after Abhishek Sharma's blistering start, they slowly, and numbly, reconciled with the reality of an imminent defeat. Soon, the emotions settled into a pattern. Pakistan supporters were heard only when their batsmen hit boundaries, which arrived few and far between, and when umpteen LBW decisions were overturned. India's supporters had more license to celebrate, as the well-worn spin trio foxed Pakistan's batsmen with their very trickery. It took a few lusty blows from Shaheen Afridi to brighten them. Indian players rode an emotional wave throughout the game, especially at the start when they appealed for everything, rejoicing the fall of wickets jubilantly and gasping when marginal decisions did not favor them. However, they uncharacteristically spilled 2 catches, both return catches, the culprits being Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarthi. Unlike the players, the crowd displayed more bonhomie. The sights and sounds were familiar, faces smeared in tricolor or dark green, bodies draped in team jerseys, wearying limbs waving the flags, the louder and energetic ones chorusing, Jitega by Jitega, Pakistan Jitega, or the counter, Harega by Harega, Pakistan ko hum harega. Some of the fans merrily bonded with each other. An India supporter, wearing a Ravindra Jadeja jersey, was seen fist-pumping with a pair of Pakistan fans, besides taking selfies with them and hugging them when dispersing to their assigned seats. Still, unlike most other games between them, one of the most sellable fixtures in all sport, the odd vacant seat could be spotted, in a stadium that could hold only 25,000. The contest was one-sided, as it has panned out in the last decade. Over the years, it has defined the two proud cricketing nations. But in the last decade, the much-proclaimed biggest game in the sport has rarely been the most thrilling, particularly since this fixture became restricted to being a tournament-only affair, bilateral series between the two extinguished by political feuding, since 2013. But there has not been a match between India and Pakistan yet that has lacked a sweaty intensity. It was not a night that would be etched into the folklore of the rivalry's history, the game-winning six would not be remembered. But the hands that never shook will be. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more cricket news and updates.